Why would Trump during his second term run on the fact that I'm going to give you guys all the documents?
But Trump runs
why would you run?
Misdirection. Not just misdirection.
Misdirection? There's always a reason, bro. Everything that they do can explain the conspiracy. Oh my God. There is no disconfirming evidence. There is no disconfirming evidence. Nothing can, there is no possible way to shake them from the conspiracy. It is impossible. Jesus. I can't believe these guys lied to themselves so much they actually fucking believe this shit. The bitter blame game over the handling of the investigation into the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein erupted in public on Friday between Attorney General Pam Bondi and the senior leadership of the FBI, particularly the Bureau's Deputy Director Dan Bongoballs. Miss Bondi and her allies believe that Miss Bongino, who parlayed a He-Man image and promotion of conspiracies into a top law enforcement job, planted stories in the conservative news media blaming Miss Bondi for the backlash after an announcement earlier this week that the Epstein case would be closed, according to officials close to the situation. The officials spoke in the condition of anonymity to discuss conversations intended to be private. How fucking stupid. So much stuff to do in the U.S. right now, and we're fighting over the dumbest fucking shit in the fucking universe. Unreal.
Reporting this story for us live from Washington. David, tell us what you're learning here.
Well, Martha, this clearly has been bubbling up over the past few days, but now spilling out into the public between Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino. He took the day off today from work, we're told, because he's so upset about the rollout of the Epstein memo that DOJ released earlier this week. Two sources familiar with the meeting say both were at the White House on Wednesday to discuss a unity path forward with the Trump administration following criticism from the Trump base about a DOJ memo out earlier this week that insisted Jeffrey Epstein's client list never existed. And
do you think the Epstein stuff will meaningfully split MAGA voters? It really seems to be resonating in the media. I mean, I think they'll forget it eventually, but the thing is that like Trump's empire ends in 2028 anyway, right? Because he ideally can't run for a third term. But I mean, this was one of the big conspiracies. And remember, like none of the conspiracies have panned out. Like none of the deep state stuff has been found. So, I mean,
and he committed suicide. Now, this after Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Bongino for months said Epstein information would indeed be released in some form. Bongino apparently was so upset, again, he did not come to work. One source says they haven't seen him since Wednesday at work, and he may end up resigning. He was critical of the Bureau as a podcast host before being named Deputy FBI Director. As for Bondi, she's close with President Trump, has been for years. I asked the White House if the president is happy with the attorney general. I'm told yes, he is. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, says the president is proud of the attorney general's efforts to execute his Make America Safe Again agenda, restore the integrity of the DOJ, and bring justice to the victims of crime. The continued fixation on sowing division in President Trump's cabinet is baseless and unfounded in reality. That's from Caroline Leavitt. Her deputy, Harrison Fields, says of Bongino and Mr. Patel, the FBI director, the president has assembled a highly qualified and experienced law and order team dedicated to protecting Americans, holding criminals accountable, and delivering justice to victims. This work is being carried out seamlessly with unity. Any attempt to sow division within this team is baseless and a distraction from the progress being made in the public safety and pursuing justice for all. Now, while Mr. Bongino is thinking about his future with the FBI, we're told that both FBI Director Kash Patel and the Attorney General have every intention to stay and continue to serve. Martha?
All right. Breaking news there. Interesting reporting. David Spunt at the Department of Justice. Thank you very much, David.
Interesting reporting. That's one way to put it.
This is the worst cover-up of my lifetime, the Epstein case. The reason I'm talking about it so much is because if you can get away with this, you really can get away with anything. If the government can tell people to not believe what they just said a few months ago and have everyone be fine with that, that's just a level of gaslighting that I refuse to be a part of. Never forget, they just promised us names in the release of the Epstein files.
Breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released.
What kind?
A lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information.
But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden.
This is a pornographic amount of lip filler. What are we doing here? This is incredibly fucking weird. U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. Sorry, like all the Trump people look like they have like they're trying to look like fucking porn stars. This is weird as fuck. I think it's just incredibly fucking strange.
Incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable.
Yeah, well, apparently there are no names to be given. No list, no blackmail. Epstein has now been pushed as a lone trafficker. It's the lone trafficker theory, guys.
I agree when you say no conspiracy theories MAGA holds are true, but can we also weaponize the Epstein files against Trump? You should, because they promised you the Epstein files forever. You don't even need there to be an actual Epstein story to weaponize against him, because they said there was. They said there was.
Essentially, the government's memo that they just released contradicts everything we've seen before, and now basically implies that Epstein was trafficking to himself, and Ghislaine Maxwell was trafficking to Epstein, and there was no other blackmail or trafficking going on. That's what this memo essentially implies. His wealth and his power then would be just from his skill as a New York financier.
I'm talking about Jeff Epstein, the New York financier.
Basically, he was the world's greatest tax advisor by day, and the world's
Did we need that cut in?
greatest trafficker at night to himself, and the rich and powerful people who all flocked to him and to his island had no idea of this double life. That really is kind of the heart of the modern theory, is that just all Epstein by himself.
That clip is hilarious. Oh, I don't know the context to it.
Had no idea of this double life. That really is kind of the heart of the modern theory, is that just all Epstein by himself, and then his friends just were there for his tax advice, despite not being a tax professional or a lawyer. Not only that, another huge revelation is the fact that really the government has increased the number of victims and decreased the number of perpetrators, right? We had the idea that there were these other perpetrators for a while, that they were just redacted because
There are many.
Did we watch this? We might have.
Many figures in our society who contribute an enormous amount to our culture, and people who have unconventional personal lives, and yet they seem exempt from criticism. Jeffrey Epstein.
Wait a minute.
No, let me finish. Now, Jeffrey Epstein. I see it. No one, criticizes him, and yet
Wait a minute.
It's a double standard.
Jim,
wrong.
Jim, hold on. Much has been said about Jeffrey Epstein. Terrible things.
No, I'm talking about Jeff Epstein, the New York financier.
Yes, we're talking about the same Jeff Epstein.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I never heard.
Oh, it was a big story in the news. Huge.
No.
Yes. For you to say no one ever
Jeff
said.
Epstein.
Yes.
Jeff Epstein.
Yes. The financier.
The island.
Yes. He had an island that I've never been to. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, with respect, if there was some news about Jeff Epstein, I would have heard.
No, I don't know what rock you've been under. It was a huge story, and Jeff Epstein I have to tell you, he's gone. He's dead.
What do you mean?
He's dead.
He's dead.
He's
No.
dead.
Sorry, nice try. If Jeff Epstein were deceased, I'm pretty sure I would know about it. Now, I admit I've not, probably since the pandemic, I've not talked to him.
That would make sense. That would make
But
sense. He's been dead for a number of years.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's one easy way. Let's call Ghislaine Maxwell.
No, we're not calling Ghislaine Maxwell.
Why? Okay.
She's in prison. She's in prison for crimes she committed with Jeff Epstein.
Ghislaine's in prison.
Yes, stop calling her Ghislaine. How do you know these people? Jim,
Conan.
Jim,
All right.
Jim, listen.
Okay,
listen
I'm just saying, I'm your friend. You know what? It doesn't matter what you do in your private life. So,
I don't do anything in my private life.
okay.
The financier. Okay.
the government was building cases.
Sorry, back to this.
Now we got pretty clear statements that there isn't evidence to bring future cases on third parties. But if you look at the original 2019 indictment, it says dozens of victims. This is from Ken Klippenstein. But the Epstein review says over 1,000 victims. So what happened, guys? And by the way, in the interim, they also increased the number to 200 to 250.
200 victims. 200. So we have over 250, actually.
So we went from dozens to 200 to over 1,000 in the span of basically a year.
Holy shit. As the Doge budget cuts decreased, the Epstein victim list increased. What, were they feeding him kids in prison?
In terms of victims, we 10x the number of victims. But now there's no perpetrators. The perpetrators have been reduced. That is the crazy thing about what they're implying here, what this lone trafficker theory is pushing forward. It's also strange because previously Epstein
Who did Epstein traffic women to? To himself, didn't he? He wanted to get massaged by them and fuck them, didn't he? Why did he have to track them to someone else? Also, why did Prince Andrew get exiled from the royal family? No clue. Why did he settle with Virginia Duffrey? Could have been a million reasons. Why did billionaire Leon Black give talentless Epstein $170 million? Why does anybody get any money from anything? The problem with the way that those conspiracy theories work is that this is the annoying thing, is you'll have I don't know how to defeat this. I don't think you can. You either have a mind that works like this or you have a mind that works rationally. I don't know what to do. You have an official story and then you have the conspiracy story. And the way that the conspiracy story works is, how do you explain this? You can explain that. Okay, what about this thing? I don't know. It's probably this or that. And here's some others. Okay, what about this thing? I don't know. Maybe this. What about this one? I don't know. What about this one? I don't know. I can't explain that. Gotcha. It's this 100%. It's bro, if you dodge between 400 different theories and eventually land on one that you cannot completely explain every single facet of it, how about this? How about you start with one theory and you give evidence for it instead of just a bunch of what about that?
But now there's no perpetrators. The perpetrators have been reduced. That is the crazy thing about what they're implying here, what this lone trafficker theory is pushing forward. It's also...
Yeah, Destiny's saying, doesn't the Chinese story make sense? But look at how stupid you are. Leak from the wet market is not the Chinese story. The Chinese story is that it came from the United States. You don't even know the Chinese story.
Victims, we 10x the number of victims. but now there's no perpetrators. Like the perpetrators have been reduced. That is the crazy thing about what they're implying here, what this lone trafficker theory is pushing forward. It's also strange because previously, Epstein, in a court filing, is said to have provided information to the FBI as agreed upon. Case agent advised that no federal prosecution will occur in this matter as long as Epstein continues to uphold his agreement with the state of Florida. So apparently there was some deal where Epstein was providing information to the FBI. What information? We don't know because no one else was involved. There's also the simple fact that if you go to the FBI records, what they call the vault, most of the files are just heavily redacted. So the idea that we got some transparency wave is literally a joke. Yes, it is true. There's no Epstein list where there's like names written down, but names exist in documents.
Did you ever Alina Chan's insane New York Times op-ed? Nope, link it.
Some videos and images, and they're all redacted. What's going on here? They're going to say, oh, it's all for the victims, right? And they're all redacted. What's going on here? They're going to say, oh, it's all for the victims, right? But it's not all victim names. In addition to that, this lone trafficker theory is already on shaky grounds when you think about Prince Andrew's settlement with Virginia Giuffre, where he paid $16 million to make civil sexual assault allegations go away. Now, of course, it's worth saying that he did not admit to $16 to make civil sexual assault.
Well, and I don't trust anybody's summary of anything. Like, I'd have to look up this case. Like, what actually happened here? Like, because it could have been that she was alleging something where there's like, you know, some degree of truth, but then like the majority of it might be bullshit, but it might be easier to settle. I've heard rumors that these kinds of cases can last a long fucking time. But I don't know. I'd have to look at the details of these cases. I don't trust anybody's summary on anything anymore.
Allegations.
Oh, it's Mo Yang. Sorry.
Go away. Now, of course, it's worth saying that he did not admit to guilt. This was a settlement, but that is what you're always going to have with these rich and powerful people. In the same way, you also have Leon Black, who reportedly paid $158 million over 5 years to Jeffrey Epstein for tax advice. And guess what? Leon Black, billionaire, also paid the U.S. Virgin Islands $62 million in cash as part of a settlement, a non-prosecution, where they wouldn't go after him for anything from, quote, any and all claims of any nature whatsoever, specifically related to Jeffrey Epstein. It's worth noting that $15 million of this cash payment will be going to counseling programs and activities or mental health services. You also have Jess Staley, the former boss of Barclays. He directly admitted to having sex with a member of Epstein's staff, which you would expect if someone was running a trafficking operation. Although, I just have to say that there was a statement that this was entirely consensual, and I'm not saying anything about that. I'm simply saying the idea that Epstein was just trafficking for himself is unlikely to be true, in my opinion. Later, Staley wrote to Epstein, "Say hi to Snow White." Epstein replied, "What character would you like next?" Staley responded, "Beauty and the Beast." And then Jeffrey Epstein said, well, one side is available. Obviously, some type of coded...
Oh my God, I hate my life. I hate all of this, dude.
Message. You can read into that for yourself, but all of this is public.
Did I take a joke you said seriously? Are you using the same lawyers as Prince Andrew? I think Brett Laird did represent Prince Andrew. Yeah, you better believe I went with the best. My goat. This guy killed it in our hearing. My God. The transcript of which will someday be available. Someday, whenever the stuff gets reviewed. Judges are busy. They have a lot of stuff they're looking at. But everything we're just waiting on the judges to make rulings on these motions. I wonder if it's good or bad that it's taking a while, or maybe it means nothing because they just have a lot of stuff in front of them.
Is available. Obviously, some type of coded message. You can read into that for yourself, but all of this is public. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what makes the government's memo so infuriating, is so much reporting has already been done. These settlements with powerful figures, under denials, yes, but also under very questionable circumstances, make just a complete denial and statement that all of this was just Epstein impossible to believe. In September 2009, Epstein also emailed a woman named Irina to tell her that Jess Staley is staying in the Berkeley Hotel in London tonight. Staley emailed Epstein the next day to say, I should have taken your offer, according to the Times. There's also this book by one of the 60 Minutes correspondents called A Ticking Clock, where he says that he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, and he said, I want the tapes. I said to Maxwell at a table at Regency Bar, I know he was videotaping everyone. I want the tape of Trump with the girls. She didn't deny the existence of the tapes, but said, I don't know where they are. He apparently replied, ask Epstein, and she gave him a...
Okay, I don't care about this. Steven Pinker lost a lot of clout and relevance when people found him in the flight logs. And you think he should get his prominence back? I mean, the Epstein guy was a billionaire. I'm sure he flew with a ton of people. I don't know why it matters if you're in flight logs or not. Like, I'm sure there were a ton of people that were on a plane with this dude. I've flown around with people. It doesn't mean they're all just like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's stupid. Apparently, Trump was getting massively ratioed on Truth Social over his schizo posting.
How many of you are satisfied? You can clap. Satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation? Clap. I told you to clap. You guys aren't listening. I'm not going to grade you on a curve. So I was going to get to that. How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation? How many of you are...
I didn't actually read this. Is it worth reading? What's going on with my boys, and in some cases, gals, They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies. Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals in the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence analysts, the laptop from hell, and more? Like, all of these things people believe are bullshit. Most people, even liberals, I think, believe it is like bullshit. That everything related to Russia was bullshit. It wasn't. That everything related to, what is 51 intelligence analysts? That they were worried about Russian propaganda? That wasn't bullshit. The laptop from hell, again, you ask any conservative, how long was that censored on Twitter? It was less than 24 hours. And if you read the Twitter files, Taibbi literally says there is zero evidence that the FBI intervened in anything having to do with the laptop story at all. But everybody like this, but these are common. They're not just talking points. Like, the majority of Americans believe these. They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton / Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. We're about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. We have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen. They tried to do the same in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This is the strongest evidence that Epstein had a client list ever and that Trump was on it. This is the only thing that would make me believe. Does he write these on his own, or does he have a Trump AI created, which does all these schizo posts for him? All the caps locking and everything randomly makes it seem like he's writing it or dictating it. He sees how his base began questioning him. It was a massive error to make the files a huge part of your campaign. To be honest, actually, when I thought about this in retrospect, I don't know if Trump himself ever did make the Epstein files a big part of his campaign. I think that I feel like it was people around him, and then he just maybe didn't talk much about it. Why do you think he's so defensive about it? Honest to God, this is just the most contrarian take ever that literally nobody in America will agree with me on. I think he's defensive about it for valid reasons, in that I think that he probably was on a lot of flight logs, and because he probably did fly around with a lot, like other people. Bill Clinton flew around with them too, and he just doesn't want to be like assumed to be a pedophile just because he was in a plane with them, which he probably didn't. Kids, I think that's probably why. So he has a legitimate interest, personal interest in it not being released. I think it's probably legitimate, but it's just funny because, I mean, like, this is the type of shit that he breeds and that everybody around him breeds. So yeah, he got eviscerated, I think, on this post. Wasn't it like 19,000 replies? Hold on, it's not at the bottom of this. Way too charitable. I don't think anything like that could ever stayed covered up. There's just no shot that many people could be involved and it would be covered up like so well for so long. I don't believe it. New Cope just dropped.
It occurred to me, oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
They probably came in to the FBI, immediately looked at the...
Didn't he basically call Bill a pedo for being on the Lolita Express? Was that one of Epstein's planes, or what is the, I don't even remember. What was the Lolita Express? Was that the Epstein plane or something different?
Came in to the FBI, immediately looked at the Epstein files, and then were told or realized that Jeffrey Epstein is in witness protection. And so now they have to push the narrative that he killed himself in order to protect the fact that there's some greater goal to be accomplished with Wipro. And he didn't kill himself. He's in witness protection. I mean, look at this clip here from Megyn Kelly last year. Watch, 61.
And we're not done with Jeffrey Epstein. I can tell you that for a fact. Can't tell you how I know, but I can tell you for a fact we're going to hear a lot more about Jeffrey Epstein in the coming year. And you may be even hearing from him directly. More on that as I'm allowed to tell you.
There you go. So what?
Why do you get sick every time you travel? This came from somebody else. This was not from me, okay? This was somebody else I was hanging out with a few days ago, was sick, and then I got sick, but it wasn't me traveling.
Does she know that apparently Kash Patel doesn't know?
Nobody knows anything. This is all bullshit. Okay. Oh, yeah, and the conspiracy theories just aren't true, never have been. It's an honor to serve the President of the United States, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he calls on me. Do we know anything about Bongo Balls? Has he tweeted out that he's staying on, or is there a chance that he might drop? Oh, no. Finders pointed out Donald Trump. Oof. So you agree with Trump that everyone should just drop the whole Epstein thing? No, they should be held accountable for pushing it and then delivering nothing. That's bullshit. Destiny, do a deep dive. It's the juiciest conspiracy. Look into Les Wexner / Mega Group and Robert Maxwell. It would make your Mossad masters happy if you debunk it. All the juicy stuff with Epstein, supposedly, the more juicy stuff, I haven't looked into, admittedly, because supposedly the major juicy stuff was when he first got caught. He got a pretty favorable prosecution deal, supposedly, in this first criminal case. But one issue, this is another thing that's very frustrating, guys, is that sometimes when people look at these issues that pop up around certain people, they think that, oh my God, somebody's being treated favorably, not realizing that this might actually be an issue with a larger issue that we have with our whole system, you know? Remember, for criminal cases, a conviction here is beyond a reasonable doubt, okay? And it might be the case that, you know, if you put somebody on trial, you might convince a jury, you might have a decently strong case, or you might not be able to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you don't, remember, it only takes one. If you don't, then the whole case is done and over and you get nothing. So there might be cases where even if it seems like you have a decently strong case, a DA might say, you know what, I'll get you to plead guilty to something and I'll take that over, you know, rolling the dice, you know, with a jury. But I don't know, if I dug into this, maybe I would feel like, oh my God, the evidence was so strong. It's crazy they didn't go to trial or push for a stronger plea. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't give a strong opinion about it. But apparently this is where all the juicy stuff is. Seriously, he said Epstein half a dozen times while telling everyone to stop talking about Epstein. Just release the files as promised. This is a very big deal. What the hell kind of system are we living in if thousands of kids were abused? The government has videos of the abusers, and yet none of the abusers are even facing charges. Does the government have video of the abusers? Okay, what is this?
How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton not acceptable? And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of Intel Services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes?
No, Destiny, that's empathy, not sympathy. I think that empathy is when you have felt something and then you extend the mutual feeling to somebody else. Sympathy is when you are trying to sympathize. You haven't felt the thing before, but you're trying to understand it. No? Isn't that the difference between empathy and sympathy, or am I mixing that up?
A private island and the largest residential house in Manhattan. Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed.
Empathy and sympathy are symptoms, or I'm sorry, are synonyms in common parlance. It's not worth it to make the distinction. I mean, you're like 80% right, you know?
Into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president.
Wait, was I just next to this guy yesterday? He's in Tampa. Oh, this is 2 days ago. Oh, he was at the same event. It's crazy that he gets invited to these. He's just going to spew whatever is anti-American. He'll ride off of the Epstein now, but he's just going to take the standard anti-American talking points now.
CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president. It's got a whole trail of crimes.
Do you know that Kalinske is parroting these exact talking points? Kalinske is a lefty when it comes to American foreign policy. So every single talking point he has is going to be basically indistinguishable from Hassan Piker. He's going to be on all foreign policy.
That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti.
You have to do JFK next. Dude, I've looked at the JFK stuff a little bit, and the JFK thing seems insanely one-sided. Maybe I'll do that at some point, but that seems like a thing that, like, all of the evidence points towards the one dude was acting alone, and there is no crazy conspiracy theory there or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe in the future, I don't know. We'll see.
It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave, you're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of a foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this?
What the hell?
And by the way, if it turns out,
educators at elite institutions.
Let's go.
That's why it didn't come out. You got too many powerful people on that list. Mutually assured destruction. So whoever was in office was going to have to deal with that.
This is the Kennedy assassination again. They're just going to lie to the American people about how it happened, and then we basically just got to sit here and take it, which is bull.
You're out of your mind if you think a Democratic administration would have put that list out.
This is what I don't.
If Biden had won again, or Kamala would have won, that list was not coming out.
And they had it for 4 years during Biden's term. Keep it in mind. They had all this information.
But he ran on it.
Why for 4 years in Biden's term? What about during Trump's term? Did they not have it at all, or?
No. We're going to get to that in a second because I really want to talk about that.
Why do you think Biden never used it against Trump?
Exactly.
If I used it against Trump, then I got out a bunch of my guys.
Exactly. And the reality is, and I don't know, but this is what it seems like. It seems like the U.S. intelligence apparatus, i.e. the CIA, the FBI, was in on it. And in order to out this list, in order to out the blackmail operation, they would be...
I'm just bored. Like, what does it mean when you say the CIA and the FBI were in on it? How many employees in the FBI? They employ over 37,000 people. How many employees in the CIA? Around 20. Okay, 20,000. So are we saying that like 60,000 people were in on it? Or was it just like, it can't be the leadership, right? Because the leadership was picked by Trump. It can't be all of them because that's just retarded. So who are the, can we get one of these fucking retards to like break down with some degree of specificity? How the fuck is this being kept under wraps? Who the fuck is keeping it under wraps? Who? Is it middle management? And they're hiding it from the frontline employees, who, by the way, are the ones that do the actual intel gathering. And then they're hiding it from their leadership, who I guess have no control over anything. Like, who's hiding this?
FBI was in on it. And in order to out this list, in order to out the blackmail operation, they would be outing themselves for running a child sex ring to incriminate and
I heard this one. It's a good one.
To incriminate and compromise powerful figures in our country. Bare minimum, the U.S., probably the U.S. and Israel.
So this list was used for purposes to keep people in line.
Of course.
The honeypot.
These honeypot traps. But is America ready to acknowledge that with taxpayer dollars, their intelligence community, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, all these things, paid for and ran a child campaign to compromise people with power and influence?
Like, it's crazy that this is the mainstream opinion and there is no evidence for this. What were they used for? Who is being blackmailed? What were they being blackmailed to do? Who is this impacting? What do we even talk? Like, you don't even have circumstantial evidence for this. This is literally a fantasy. This is a fantasy. Who is being blackmailed for what? Who blackmailed who for what? What was Epstein blackmailing people for? To do what?
We definitely do it in other countries.
That's no question. I just don't know if we would run that in our own country.
So are they real kids or like midgets that are like look like? I'm serious.
No, they're real
like
kids.
they cover midgets that are.
They're real kids. They came out. The kids have came out. And then Kash Patel went on Rogan and he said, we don't want to re-victimize the women. The women are begging for justice. You don't have to re-victimize them. They're asking you for justice, which you will not give them.
Because it's mutually assured destruction. The reason Joe Biden never used the Epstein list against Trump because he got people that's on the list. You'll have to ruin the legacy of people that you love and care about.
You got to burn it all down. So, or
like, what are you even talking about? So why wouldn't they just take their names off the list if that's how powerful they are? If they're so powerful and they're on the list, Epstein is dead, so he can't blackmail people anymore, right? So why not just why not remove themselves off the list and then publish it? Or are we saying that other people on the list are black? So is everybody on the list blackmailing everybody on the list? It's just like, it's a mutually assured destruction list of kid fuckers who are all blackmailing each other. For what are they even blackmailing each other for? What the fuck is the point of this?
There's another.
You know that.
I'm not saying they're not on the list.
There's no question Mossad is involved.
Right. I would just say I would throw those people under the bus to be able to take out Trump if I'm them.
So here's the thing.
But you might take out yourself.
No, you can't. I don't think he's realizing. It's so entrenched, Chris. Listen. Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, Bill Clinton, the president of the United States of America. Like, you can't just be like, oh yeah, Epstein did it with did it with Trump. And then once you say Epstein did it with Trump, you're acknowledging that there was a blackmail ring and that he was the leader of the blackmail ring. What they've done now is said there was no such thing and he was just procuring thousands of girls for him, even though he
was it thousands? How many kids were these people fucking? It's like half the population of New York City. It's like, hello, welcome to class Brooklyn, whatever. Oh, 7 more kids absent today. They must be on Epstein Island. Guess we're going to have to push the math quiz to tomorrow.
Lex Wessner gave him power of attorney over his whole finances and gave him the most expensive housing unit in New York City for no reason. That Leon Black gave him $170 million for tax advice. Get the out of here. Yeah. You're insulting our intelligence to act like there was not some form of, I don't even know if you want to call it blackmail, but organized operation here that was using children in the abuse and the sexual assault of children. That our intelligence agencies were involved in. Alex Acosta, we all know Alex Acosta, you know who he is? He was the district attorney in Palm Beach, and then later was going to be the labor secretary before they kicked him to the side, said, when they asked him, I believe...
Under who? Hey, why don't you say who? Hey, why don't you say who he was going to be the labor secretary of? Hello? Also, wait, why did he say kicked to the side? He was the labor secretary for 2 years.
Attorney, our intelligence agencies were involved in. Alex Acosta, we all know Alex Acosta. You know who?
Did you know Alex Acosta? Because if you did, why the fuck are you surprised right now that was Trump's labor secretary for 2 fucking years? Didn't you have Trump on your show? Didn't Trump go on this fucking show? Am I making that up?
He was the district attorney in Palm Beach, and then later was going to be the labor secretary before they kicked him to the side. Said, when they asked him, I believe it was in a Senate hearing, when he gave Epstein that sweetheart deal, he said, I was told he was with intelligence. That's all we really need to know. So what intelligence? Why would he say with intelligence? Like, to me, that means it has to be American intelligence, because if he was with foreign intelligence, then you would go, well, fucking clip him. He's with foreign intelligence. Why is there a
foreign intelligence is black?
Okay, wait, say this right now.
Unless that foreign intelligence has something on us. And
that's what I was saying. Foreign intelligence is the reason why all the Democratic primary candidates are saying their first trip is going to go to a certain place.
Well, guys, now we're trafficking.
I love your theory, but what would be the...
Listen, like it or hate it, New York's got a lot of Jews. Actually, I'm curious, does New York City have more Jews than any other city in the U.S.? It probably does. That wouldn't surprise me. Like, yeah, it's cringe, but there's a reason why they pay so much lip service to Israel and all that bullshit.
The point of that theory, if you're not going to actually catch the mice once they get in the trap.
Well, you just perpetually have power over them.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to catch them.
Interesting.
So there's another theory that
you got to think about the Russians, too, though, because this is their go-to move. If you're just talking strict, like, blackmail, entrapment, honeypots, obviously with Epstein, you lean towards Mossad, but, like, there are a lot of people who traffic in this sort of stuff.
And you know how you know that there's a lot of powerful people on this list? Because if I was Donald Trump, I'm the president, I'm just like, okay, if I'm on there, take me off. And then we're going to release this list. No, buddy. Too many powerful people. It would be mutually assured destruction. Wouldn't it put out the Epstein list?
Wouldn't it crush America? I mean, like, in my personal opinion, I think you need to destroy it to build back the faith. But I imagine a lot of these people, like, whoever they is, let's say it's the CIA, let's say it's the FBI, let's say they sit down with, and I'm talking about the permanent CIA and FBI, not the ones that you get this, like, figurehead, they get to pop in every administration and say,
oh, the deep state. Good job. This guy is another name for the deep state. Good job, dude. I love how, I love how these guys are able to, like conservatives will these, like, little boy it's full of fucking cum, and then these guys are literally vomiting it out 2 weeks later. I like how he's picked up the vocabulary and the secrets without even knowing all about politics. Very impressive. So fucking cringe.
Let's say they sit down with, and I'm talking about the permanent CIA and FBI, not the ones that you get this, like, figurehead that gets to pop in every administration and say they run it. I'm talking about the ones that are running it the whole time. Well, maybe they sit down with Trump, they sit down with Kash, they sit down with Bongino, they sit down with Bondi, and they go, guys, here's the deal.
So then this goes back to my other question, right? So 50,000 people in the intelligence agencies know about this shit? Or who? Is it everybody? Or apparently it's not the heads, right? Because he just said it's the deep state. How deep is the deep state? How many employees is the deep state? Can we describe this at all? Can we talk about any part of this ever? Like, it's just so fucking cringe. Like, this is like a shitty movie plot. It's so stupid.
If we announce that we were the ones who were aware of this and running this, we are acknowledging that we ran a child sex trafficking ring within our country to compromise our own citizens. That information cannot get out to the American people if they are to have faith in our institutions. And if it does, everybody involved, maybe even the entirety of the institutions.
Do you think that Donald Trump and his government are a big defender and faith in our institutions?
Has to get destroyed. That's the only way forward. You can't just have an FBI and CIA after that.
Yeah,
so are we ready to go without an FBI and CIA?
Yeah, but you're a person who actually cares about America. You're a person who's not compromised. And I think that's the sad part about a lot of these situations. What we're realizing is there's never going to be any draining of the swamp, y'all. Once you get in these positions, you are automatically compromised. It just is what it is.
So the thing I don't
understand. And if you really do try to drain the swamp, bang, bang. Straight like that.
Be missing more than a little piece of your ear. But the thing I don't understand is Epstein got arrested and murdered. I mean, convicted and committed suicide during Trump's first term.
Oh, they're picking up on it. Uh-oh.
Trump, if let's say your theory is correct, and you can't divulge that he was intelligence and that will like erode the public's trust in the government, then why would Trump during his second term run on the fact that I'm going to give you guys all the documents?
But Trump runs
why would you run
misdirection?
Not just misdirection.
Misdirection. There's always a fucking reason, bro. Everything that they do can explain the conspiracy. Oh my God. There is no disconfirming evidence. There is no disconfirming evidence. Nothing can, there is no possible way to shake them from the conspiracy. It is impossible.
Trump runs on everything. We were talking about this on vacation. I've said this, Trump runs on everything.
No, he doesn't.
And we did this on vacation to prove it. You can pull up a clip of Trump telling whatever you want to hear to you, no matter what it is. Name a subject, you can pull up a clip, Trump saying either or about it. He's either for it or against it in some way, shape, or form. Pull it up, try it. It's a fun game to do at the house. I'm serious. Anything that he wants you to believe, he will tell you. And I've read.
Where was this analysis before the election?
Like the art of the deal, and you read things about Donald Trump. They all say that's part of his charm. They say he'll sit you down and tell you whatever it is you want to hear, and he'll find out what your thumb screw is, like what is your wildest dream, and tell you that he can make it happen.
But then why appoint people like Patel and Bondi, all these people?
Exactly. Who is this motherfucker? This guy's got good questions, because that's the next question. Let's say that you know that it's you're on the list, okay? Your share of kids is Donald Trump. Why would you then appoint people? Why would you nominate people who are so vocal about this? Why not pick people who are willing to play ball, or pick people who are on the list with you? Find some other kitty to put in these positions.
And what is your wildest dream, and tell you that he can make it happen?
But then why appoint people like Patel and Bondi, all these people?
They were never going to do anything.
I don't agree. I think
why would you do that?
I think he thought he was going to do something. I think he thought he was going to stop the foreign wars. I think he thought he was going to do a lot of shit, and then he realized how it really works. That's what I think.
I know he's not talking about Donald Trump, right? Oh, sorry. Yeah. And Charlamagne, or this guy over here was not pro-Trump. I shouldn't imply that. Sorry.
I think he thought he was going to stop the foreign wars. I think he thought he was going to do a lot of shit, and then he realized how it really works.
Hold on. Jesus. My history is so fucking bad. Who was the president from 2016 to 2020? Oh. What do you mean he thought he was going to do this, but then he realized he couldn't? He was already president one time. What the kind of retarded fucking statement is this?
That's what I think.
I mean, on the war, yes. On the
okay. This is just like your black box hypothesis in action. No one understands how these institutions work, so they create idiot theories like the deep state to explain their ignorance, just like flat earthers. And they're so confident with their hypothesis they have no proof for. These people have not read once in their lifetime a real official document about the Epstein charges, but could stand here and talk about it for ages like Epstein experts. And if someone confronts them, they will not be able to get you. Yeah, it's so stupid. I don't know, but whatever.